Ethan was a curious teenager who loved to explore. One afternoon, as he walked home from school, he passed by the old oak tree near the edge of town. Something unusual caught his eye, shiny metal peeking out from the ground. His curiosity got the better of him, and he crouched down to see what it was. It was a small, shiny watch with no numbers on the face, only strange symbols. The watch looked old, but it was in perfect condition. Ethan brushed the dirt off and picked it up. It was cold in his hand, and something about it felt different. He examined it carefully, and on the back he noticed a small button. Without thinking, he pressed it. Instantly, the world around him seemed to freeze. The birds stopped singing, the wind stopped blowing, and even the leaves stopped moving. Everything stood still. Ethan's heart raced. "What's going on?" he whispered to himself. He looked around, but nothing seemed normal. The world around him felt frozen in time. He quickly pressed the button again, and then the world returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. "That was strange," Ethan said. Confused and slightly scared, he slipped the watch into his pocket, deciding to keep it safe for later. "I need to figure out what this thing is," he thought as he hurried home. The next morning, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the watch. What if it was something important? What if it could do more than freeze time? He decided to test it again. While walking in the park, he pulled the watch out of his pocket. He pressed the button once more. But this time, something different happened. The world around him began to change. The streets turned from modern concrete to old cobblestone. The houses around him turned into stone buildings, and the air felt warmer, more ancient. The sky was different too, a strange color, almost as if it wasn't from his time. Ethan looked around, wide-eyed. "This can't be real," he muttered, walking through the city as everything transformed. People dressed in ancient clothes walked past him, and the sounds of the modern world were replaced with old-time noises. The whole place felt like a different world. He couldn't believe it. He had traveled to the past. Suddenly, a woman in an old dress looked at him curiously. She walked over and smiled. "You have the timekeeper's watch," she said. "I can see it. You are not from here, are you?" Ethan was startled. "What? How do you know that?" The woman smiled, then quickly turned and disappeared into the crowd. Ethan stood there, even more confused than before. What just happened, he wondered. Where am I? He looked around, trying to make sense of everything. He realized he wasn't in his small town anymore. He was in an ancient city. The buildings were old, and people were living in a time long before he was born. As Ethan walked through the unfamiliar streets, trying to figure out where he was, he spotted a girl standing by a stone building. She looked about his age, with long dark hair and bright eyes. She wore a simple dress that looked like it belonged to this time, but there was something mysterious about her. "Are you lost?" she asked softly. Ethan looked at her, feeling both confused and relieved to meet someone who didn't seem as strange as everything else. I I think I am. I don't know how I got here or where I am. The girl smiled knowingly. You are in the town of Alora, from the past. I am Claire, and I can see you're not from here. Ethan blinked. How did you know that? I've seen the timekeeper's watch before, Claire explained. It brings people like you to this place. People from the future. Ethan felt his heart race. From the future? But that doesn't make sense. How am I here? Claire looked around to make sure no one was listening, then whispered, The watch has the power to travel through time. You've come to Alora for a reason, Ethan. Ethan felt a deep curiosity. What reason? Claire hesitated before answering. To save the city. But first, you must understand its past. Claire led Ethan to the edge of the city, where the ruins of a once great civilization stood. Broken stone walls, faded carvings, and ancient buildings were all that remained. It was a place that seemed forgotten by time. This was Alora, Claire said, pointing to the ruins. A powerful city known for its wisdom and peace. But many years ago, a group of thieves came. Time bandits, they're called. They traveled through time and stole the city's history. They changed things, and soon, Alora fell into ruin. Ethan couldn't believe what he was hearing. Time bandits? How could they do that? The time bandits use powerful devices like your watch. They travel to different points in time and steal history, changing it for their own gain. They want to control the past and the future. Ethan looked at the watch in his hand. But why is it in my hands? What do I have to do with all this? You're the one who can stop them, Claire said. You have the timekeeper's watch. It's the only thing that can fix the timeline and save Alora. Ethan felt both excited and scared. But how can I do that? Claire's face grew serious. You must stop the time bandits before they change everything. If they succeed, Alora will never exist, and your world will be lost. Ethan and Claire set off on a mission to find the time bandits. As they walked through the streets, Claire explained more about the dangers of changing history. Even the smallest change in the past can have huge consequences, she said. You can't fix everything with the watch. You have to be careful. If you change too much, the future might be lost forever. Ethan nodded. I understand. But how do we stop the bandits? They're clever, Claire said. They blend into history, making sure no one notices them. But we can find them. We just have to be quick and careful. As Ethan and Claire searched for the time bandits, they were suddenly ambushed. A group of dark-clad men surrounded them in a narrow alley. Ethan's heart raced. You shouldn't have come here, one of the bandits said, a sneer on his face. The past is ours now. Ethan grabbed Claire's arm. We need to run. They dashed through the streets, with the bandits close behind. The chase was on, and Ethan could feel the weight of time on his shoulders. If they didn't escape, the past and the future would be lost. Eventually, Claire led Ethan to an ancient tower at the center of the city. Inside, they found a room filled with books, maps, and strange artifacts. This is where the timeline can be fixed, Claire explained. The timekeeper's chamber. Only the watch can restore the correct timeline. Ethan placed the watch on a stone pedestal. But how do I use it? Claire opened an ancient book. The watch has the power to reset time, but it must be used carefully. If you press the right buttons, you can fix the timeline, but you must choose the right moment. Ethan stared at the watch, nervous about making the wrong choice. The bandits were closing in. He had to act quickly. With the timeline fixed, the city of Allura began to rebuild. The people returned, and the buildings rose from the ground once more. Ethan watched, amazed at how the city was coming back to life. "It's done," Claire said with a smile. "The city is saved. You've done it, Ethan." "But I don't want to leave," Ethan said, looking at Claire with sadness in his eyes. "I wish I could stay." "You can't," Claire said gently. "Your world is waiting for you." Ethan hugged her tightly. "I'll never forget you, Claire." With a final press of the button, Ethan was pulled back to the present. He found himself standing by the oak tree, where the adventure had started. The world around him was just as it had been before. He looked down at the watch in his hand and smiled softly, knowing that his journey had changed everything. Ethan carefully placed the timekeeper's watch in a safe drawer. He knew it was too powerful to be used carelessly. As he looked out of his window, he wondered if he would ever see Claire again, but one thing was certain. Time was a force to be respected, and he would always protect the watch.